Okay, let's move back to international affairs. And Vanessa, what's the response been sort of more broadly to what's been going on in Gaza?
Well, regionally, Syria declared 3 days of mourning after the bombing of the vicinity, the area around, and some extensive damage to the Baptist hospital itself. Those 3 days end tomorrow, but there have been solidarity rallies across Damascus and across the region. Millions of Palestinians inside Jordan going to the border, demanding that it's open. Busloads of Iraqis going to join the Palestinians at those border demonstrations. But from a military perspective, some interesting developments. First of all, explosions were heard at US military sites in Iraq and in Syria. Interesting that I think for the first time, the US Victoria military base, which is adjacent to Baghdad airport, was targeted, as well as the Ain al-Assad base, which is deeper into Iraqi territory. There was one death, apparently, of a heart attack following the attacks on the base in Ain al-Assad. But there were also attacks on the oil occupation, the US military in Al Omar and the Conoco oil field in the northeast of Syria, and directly against the US military base in Al Tanf in the southeast. There have also been ISIS attacks against military and civilian positions, of course, being generated from within the Al Tanf military base. Now, one of the more interesting ones is that the coalition government in Yemen, that also comprises of the Ansarullah resistance, apparently fired missiles. Now, Israel is claiming the missiles were fired targeting Israel. Pentagon officials are also saying the same thing, that the missiles were potentially targeting Israel and were intercepted by a US Navy warship off the coast of Yemen. So obviously, as regards the threat of ground invasion by the IOF, it's becoming rather like Zelensky's counteroffensive in Ukraine. It's been talked about for more than a week now and still hasn't happened. But the rhetoric from within the region is that if there is a ground invasion, there will be a bigger reaction from the resistance axis in the region. We have also here McCaul preparing authorization of military force against Hamas and against Iran proxies. Now, the Iranian proxy story is what is also being pushed by the likes of the BBC in the UK. And if we look at what McCaul actually says, so he's the House Foreign Affairs Committee chairman, said he's drafting legislation to authorize the use of US military force should the war between Israel and Hamas widen. It's worth pointing out that 8 Navy ships from the US have now entered the Eastern Mediterranean, 3 destroyers, 1 landing ship, 1 guided missile cruiser, 1 amphibious assault vessel, and 2 aircraft carriers. So everything is escalating. And as you said, Mike, nobody is talking peace. Nobody is talking negotiation. And nobody seems to want to dampen things down and to broker a ceasefire.
Yes, okay. Thank you for that. Okay, and Ben, let's come back to you then. And last week, I think it was,